Hey everyone, welcome to Friday Night Bee Chat with Sawmill Charlie. How you doing, Mike and Ed and Philip? And there's Minnesota Mike. Good evening, all. Lee's not with us tonight, not as of yet, but he might drop in. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link in, and anybody wants to come in, come on in. We'll talk bees. We'll go ahead and pin it to the top. There it is. Oh, we got Robin Hood, Dennis. Hey, Michael. Good to see you. Well, it's been sort of warm here in Maryland. The last couple days, it's been in the 50s. A couple days ago, it was nice and bright and sunny, around 55. The bees were all flying. And so I did put a pollen bucket out there with some dry pollen. Hey, Stacy. And I went back about an hour later, and usually if anybody is interested in pollen sub, the bees will be all over, but they didn't. So I stood there at the hive entrance there and watched the bees come in, and there was like a dirty white pollen, I guess you would say, coming in. Hey, James, Keith, and so their natural pollen was coming in. Hey, Kyle, and from New Zealand. I think I said it, NZ. That's, I think, the farthest I think anybody has come in and into our thing. Here comes Robin Hood in. And so anyway, I took the pollen bucket and put it away, and bringing the pollen in naturally, which was good. So I did have some pollen patties from Man Lake Ultra B. I guess they're at least a year old. I had them in the freezer, got them thawed out. There's Michael coming in. Hey, Mikey.
Hey, I heard you had
And
beautiful weather there.
yeah, it's really nice. Some natural pollen was coming in. I'm not really sure what the tree or the plant was. It was kind of an off whitish gray, or kind of like a dirty white look, kind of gray looking. Not a whole lot of abundance. Not every bee had it on there, but there was some natural stuff coming in. And okay, Kyle's okay. He's the maker of Hivegate. Yes, and that's cool. And hey, there's Lee. And so they were bringing that in, and then I got busy that night, or that day actually, and I had some pollen patties out of the freezer. I put them in my hot box and thawed them out and got them nice and pliable, and I had enough. I wanted to get rid of them. So I had enough for
Okay.
about 17 hives. And I put a patty in every one of them. And in all my nukes, plus a couple of my 10 framers. And I was checking the frames as far as feed goes on my nukes. And they were on the light side. When I feed in the fall, I pour the sugar water to them to the point where they just won't eat anymore, and that's when I know to stop. And then I kind of leapfrog my top tie feeders from the hives that are still feeding from the ones that have stopped. So they've really ate the food down. I mean, there's frames that are just completely empty. And of course, I did have bees from top to the bottom. And hey, there's Laura, came from the other side. Laura was in the other bee chat that I was also in here about a half hour ago. So anyway, uh, I put the pollen patties in yesterday, and then because of the light feed in those nucs, I had some fondant left over, and I had taken that out of the freezers. Mike says it's 42 degrees up there in Vermont. Well, that's not too bad, I guess, from Vermont. And so I went and sliced and diced that stuff up like little mini steaks last night and put it on wax paper. And I went out there the first thing this morning. It was about, I think the thermometer said it was about 50 degrees there this morning. It was chilly 50 degrees. So, so anyway, I went ahead and put the fondant in there. I had a hard time getting it to peel off that wax paper, even though it was the type of wax paper you use for baking cookies and stuff like that. I forget what that's called. And
parchment paper.
Parchment paper, yeah. Still hard, you know. The sunlight was in your face, and everything's white and hard to find. But I got it. I had like a couple boxes full of it with layers of it. I pretty much got 3/4 of it in the hives. So I had went to my 10 framers. The ones you see off to my, let me see, would be my right, your left, my right shoulder, I guess it would be over there. No, let's see. No, that way. Those over there. And so I pulled up some frames out of those this morning, and they had honey frames completely solid, not even touched. So it's spotter. I'm pretty sure it's spotter and lanternfly hunting. So I haven't been able to go out for the rest of the hives behind me there to check them. There's about 9 or 10 of them I need to check. So hopefully maybe this weekend before it rains. I think it's supposed to rain around 4 o'clock. And we'll see whether or not they got plenty of honey in there. So what you been doing, Mike, up there in Minnesota, up there in the cold country?
Really enjoying the warmth. Really enjoying the warmth.
How warm is warm for you?
Over at Vince's mill, I think we were at about 35. You know, it's the snowpack is really hitting it.
Bad.
Yeah. Say Dan just put something in about pussy willow pollen when you were describing that pollen that you had. That looks. It sounds like it's a lot like the pussy willow pollen.
Yeah, the other chat that I was on with is a Westchester bee chat, and they're kind of what would you call it, southeastern Pennsylvania area, and they were talking about the pussy willow bushes budding, and one beekeeper, and he had one, and he said he had taken some pictures. There was bees all over it and stuff, and so maybe that's what it is. You know, I don't know whether there's any trees around my area that's like that.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
So when you get the pussy willow pollen in, I don't know which plant blossoms first, if it's the male or female, but they have two different. They have two different colors of pollen. One is the way you described it, but Charlie, are you putting any type of trickle feed in, a light syrup to
liquid feed?
Yeah.
Hey, Grammy. According to Wikipedia. Not yet. I've been thinking about that. Now next week, it's supposed to be it start out in the beginning of the week around in the 50s, and then by the end of the week, it's possibly in the 60s. So I'm wondering whether or not I should think about either put some quart jars of 2-to-1 on there. Dan says it's the female pussy willow tree. Tan gray. Yeah, that's it's more of a gray is what I saw. And there's Bob. That's what I think it must be. That must be what it is. Now I will have to say in my front yard, there are 2 different types of maple trees. The one maple tree isn't budding at all. And then there's another soft maple tree that it's a really huge tree. And it's got, red buds sticking up all over the place on it. but I don't believe it has, popped yet. I figure probably next week it'll probably pop because of all the heat. Hey, Randy. And it probably will pop, So maybe I'm sure, and then especially with that warm weather. Now, I do know that I've been told and by a master beekeeper, whether they know what they're talking about or not, but if the bees are flying, you can feed them, liquid. Is what and I figure, well, if you got a week's worth of really, 50, 60-degree weather, hey, Nancy, and I would say go ahead and feed them. And I'm thinking about I need to assess, like say, the rest of these 10 framers. Hey, Dan. Yeah, it's pop. Where are you at, Dan? What part of what state are you in? And as far as I think I might put some top high feeders on my nukes or put quart jars on there. Quart jars would be a little easier to do, but then I got to find lids and
Yeah, that's always a balance.
The top high feeders, I can just slap them on. Of course, that means probably if the pollen patties haven't been eaten up good, that. Hey, Randy. Just south of Philly, okay, or Pittsburgh, okay, you're up in Pennsylvania there. As far as Dan, tomorrow Steve Rapapsy is going to be here in Maryland speaking at our Maryland State Convention.
Who's that, Charlie?
Steve Rapapsy, he is a master beekeeper, and he was the Pennsylvania State president, I'll say, in the last couple years.
Oh, no kidding.
And he is also published a book
Hey, Philip.
hey, Bob, with Dr. Connors, John Connors. He has that it's got his own publishing company. He has like swarm
John Connors was
books and nucleus books and all kinds of beekeeping books and stuff like that. And so he's going to be speaking there, and then Michael Palmer is going to be zooming in from Vermont, talking about sustainable apiary and that kind of stuff. Steve Rapapsy, I got him to come into my own bee club here a year or so ago, 2 years ago, I guess it has to be. And he talked about single brood chamber management. And that's what got me single brood chamber management.
Okay.
And he was the one that got me interested in that. And then talking also with some other folks in Pennsylvania that do it at a, not a commercial scale, but a, backyard type scale. And he's also going to be speaking about that. I'm hoping that he is going to maybe expand on it more, or at least I'll ask him more questions. He's also supposed to have a book. He's in the process of writing it. I talked to him maybe a year ago. He still hasn't finished the book yet. So I talked to his father on a chat, and he said he was in the process of finishing it. And I'm hoping he is. So anyway, that's what I've been up to. Like I say, things are starting to kick in here. Natural pollen starting to come in, trickle in, I'll say. Food concerns are here now for me, especially for my nukes. Judging from what I've seen in 2 or 3 of the 10 framers, it looks like I have plenty of food there. Nancy is thinking about putting some dry pollen out and see if they go for it. Yeah, I would do that, Nancy. It'll just tell you, like say, when I put the bucket out, they never touched it. So, and that's why I watched the front of the hives, and the natural stuff was coming in. And so that's what it was doing here. And see, some hives taken, some didn't. So that's what I'm doing. How's everything on the home front there, Bob? How's your beehives that you've been
Doing good. It was
how's that weak hive? Is that still weak or is it dead?
actually that went to the nursery. I call it the nursery. It went over to my mentors. He said, "Hey, let me come get that and see what I can do with it." So he's got it like under a lean-to thing where there's no moisture in there, and he's trying to nurse them up. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
I mean, I'm not hopeful for it, but if he wants to give it a shot and it comes back, hey, what kind of it's good, good deal. But
right.
And he has less bee pressure over there. I mean, he's got bees, but they're like further away from where this one colony is. They're not like right next to each other. And so we'll see how it goes. Today was interesting with Mr. Ed putting that video up. All of a sudden, Amazon started kicking in today. I mean,
really?
it wasn't crazy. It wasn't like, like 8 or 10 sales is probably what I've had today, which is pretty good. I mean, I did have to take a screenshot of something because Amazon called me. They said, "Oh, we wanted to let you know you got a new tag today." I'm like, "Tag? What the hell are y'all talking about?" I mean, I didn't know. But it's going to look kind of blurry, and it's not there right now. I looked at it, but let's see if you can. You probably can't even read that.
That right there. Whoa, right there. Just lower it down some. Swarm rustler, premium swarm lure.
Now read the little thing on the bottom where the red tag is. #1 new release in beekeeping supplies. So it was a top seller there for a little while today. So it was a good feeling, but back to reality. It's the grind, whatever. See what happens. It was just fun.
Yeah, I watched some. I don't know where the guy is. I think he's judging from the plant where it's like it must be around Florida or someplace, and his hives all died except for one, and he was saying he was using lemongrass, and he said everybody uses Swarm Commander, but it's too damn expensive. He said.
Well, someone said something about that today, because Mr. Ed is very vague and jovial, right? So he's like, "Oh, and it's a fraction of the price, right?" Well, yes and no. So I mean, if you look at it online, I mean, the Swarm Commander is $34.95. I had mine for $29.99, but it's got a $3 coupon, which makes it $26.99, and it has free shipping. So yeah,
it is cheaper.
Yes, but if you don't think about it, you'll be like, "Oh, it's not that much cheaper. $5, $5 is
hey,
$5."
Brian, Jeff, so, DC.
But yeah, today I did a couple things. I went out and shook. Remember, I was talking about that extra super that was on top that they were laying brood in.
Yeah.
The medium. So I shook the bees down, put the queen excluder on it, put the super back on so the brood can hatch out of that honey super, and I can get it out of there, condense them back in the box on a couple of them. And in doing that, I was also able to equalize like the smaller ones, make sure they had some new eggs in there. And what else? I did. I made a split yesterday or the day before, and today I took the poly 10 frame nuke or poly 10 frame box and transplanted the whole thing out of a wooden box into that one and put the top feeder on it, closed it back up. So if they don't
you'll get
if they don't make queen or queen cells, then that'll probably become my starter finisher when everything hatches out. I don't have enough bees in it. So, and we'll shake more bees in it and get it all fixed up.
Well, you get some experience using the insulated hives and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean it's all right.
They're nice, I mean there's some drawbacks with them, but all in all, they're not a bad hive.
Yeah, it's I don't know. You think that because they're molded, that they would have those specs like perfect, right? That they would perfectly line up. Everything would perfectly line up. Like the entrance reducer on the 10 frame, it doesn't screw in. It just slides down in a slot, and it's kind of wiggly in there. It's not tight. So that's a little bit of the disappointing things about it. But I mean, I guess for what it's supposed to do, just sit in there and block bees from getting in and out. I guess it'll do that.
Yeah, see, I only have that nuke, that 6-frame nuke, and the entrance reducer has it's like kind of a
but it screws on. Yeah, but it
screws on,
in.
and then you push the plastic bar, and it slides through a track.
Well, the 10 framer has that similar thing. If obviously it's bigger, but it doesn't screw to the hive. So like the nuke does, it just sits down in a track, like a molded area in the bottom board.
Right.
It just drops in there. You can flip it over and change it around. But I mean, it's all right. The bees, I mean, if they'll live in, wherever, if they'll live in somebody's eave, they'll live in that poly box, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just went through, equalized some colonies, played Robin Hood.
So you still got what, 19?
Yeah, right around 19. I'm not counting the 2 splits yet because they're not queen rate. If they become queen,
right. Well, yeah, that's fine.
You know what? I actually saw one of my queens today. I was looking for my yellow pen. I couldn't find my yellow pen today, so I was gonna mark her, but she was skinny. I mean, she wasn't fat, but she was long and skinny. But man, was she moving around there today. She was just getting it. And I'm like, hey, you can be small, just be fierce. Let's go.
Well, was that a new queen or not? Do you know?
Well, that's what I was wondering.
No,
I'm sounding like a virgin to me.
No, yeah, it really does.
This was an established colony that I pulled that one out of.
Yeah, but even I'm just shooting from the hip here, but it seems to me the queens that are not gearing up to lay, they will be skinny, but it seems all the new ones that I've seen, then they skirt like crazy. They run.
Yeah, I mean, she was moving just fierce, going through there, but
that sounds like a virgin to me, Bob.
Yeah.
Virgin is shorter. This was a long queen.
Yeah, long, but it's not puffed out there.
What? This is not my first year beekeeping. I know what a virgin queen looks like, and I know what a mated queen looks like. God almighty. Do I put that off? Do I mean that level of ignorance?
No, not at all. Not at all. You're just outvoted here. But we weren't looking at her.
Yeah.
Your description just sounded like a virgin.
I just said she was skinny. She was still full size. She was just a little bit smaller, skinny, but she was moving fast. She had tons of cat brood, but the thing was she was laying it in the medium super, right? So I wanted to get her out of that. So she's laying up full deep frames of brood instead of medium supers. So, yeah. So that's what I did. I just shook her down.
Interesting.
Bob, when you're right, you're right. That's everybody. Nancy's like, virgin queen, Bob. Virgin. No, it's not a virgin.
Oh my gosh.
You're making my heart monitor go off tonight. What is going on with you guys?
Oh my.
Well, then it's probably a little early to tell you, but your shelf fell off the wall behind you.
Probably did. I wouldn't. I actually cleaned up in here. My desk is a lot cleaner. Of course, I've got a bunch of. New purchase trash can. That helps. So I
thought you were going to bring out a piece of equipment.
No equipment tonight. The only equipment I've been dealing with is envelopes and labels today. So it's just been it's been an exciting day. Nancy's laughing. Hey, hey Nancy, we're using your idea this year for nukes, so we'll see how it goes.
No, what was that about?
Explain that, Bob.
Oh, well, it's a version of yours. It's a 3-frame nuke instead of a 5-frame nuke, and so I am buying 3-frame nukes, okay, and then I am making 5-frame nukes out of them. Does that make sense? So I'm taking a 3-frame nuke, moving it to a 5-frame nuke, adding 2 frames, giving it a couple weeks to grow and lay up, and then selling it.
Yeah, but are you going? Nancy had the idea of 2-frame.
Yeah, the 2 frames that she was
sales.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, a little bit. I mean, we're doing 3 frames, but I'm buying those. I'm not selling those, but I'm utilizing that similar, process.
Where are you getting that from? Somebody else or what?
Florida. Getting them from Florida. Actually, I'm getting them from somebody that watches our streams all the time. He may not be here tonight, but Sourwood.
Yeah.
No, no kidding.
But he goes down to Florida and does it, and on his way back, he's going to drop nukes here. Well, yeah, the 3-frame nukes, and then I'm going to.
So, are they doing $40 a frame?
Yeah, pretty much. Close to it.
That's Nancy. When she had dropped that idea that said that she was selling them for too cheap, and then she got thinking about it, and she told me you buy them by the frame, $40 a frame.
So the 3-frame nuke is going to be sold for the same price as a package. So
yeah, about $120 or so.
Yeah, 120, $135, something like that. And
right.
But instead of a package, you're getting the same amount of bees, but she's been laying and she's got 3 frames of drawn comb.
Right. It's you're getting a better. It's less. You're getting a price break, number one, and you got 3 frames there, which is plenty, to get things kicking.
Right.
And if you can give her 2 frames of open comb, a couple weeks, and voila, you got 5-frame nuke.
Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, I tried to, and today I was, I did that a lot, equalization, right? So moving some of my single brood chambers, taking from my doubles and moving frames of brood in, and trying to, not a lot, one from this colony, one from that colony. Now
exactly. Now you're talking.
And
now see right there, Bob, you think about, you get them 3 framers in there like that, you could drop, let's say another, instead of just open comb,
mm-hmm.
if you have a spare brood frame that's capped,
right,
take the cap brood out with bees, as long as you don't move the queen, and drop that in that 3-frame nuke, and then 21 days and all them bees are hatching out. You just you got a good population,
powerhouse.
Yeah, you're gonna speed up things.
So that's kind of the goal. Just got too many things going right now.
Yeah, today has been a pretty good day for me as far as honey sales. I had I don't know what. Let's see. I've sold I guess about 6 pounds of honey today, but I sold over. I think it's about 100 and. No, let's see, what was it? I guess about 15 pounds of honey for the week, $150 worth, something like that.
That's pretty good. I still got to bottle some up, and let me see. I like that 40.
Now, Charlie, are those sales at your home or wholesale retail through the stores?
All right. Oh, okay. Never mind. Hold
on. The honey sales.
Oh, the honey, yeah, right at the house.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I don't or wholesale my honey. I have everything here at the mill, and I had one guy come to, I've got lumber customers coming in and buying honey, and then I have my regular honey customers.
That's
I had fantastic. A guy today, him and his little girl came in, and he actually wound up buying 2 2-pounders. And he says he works at Northrop Grumman, and their thing down there at the plant is everybody brings in honey from wherever they get it from, I guess,
No
different.
kidding.
And they say my honey is the most liked, they like the taste of mine over all the rest of the guys, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's a nice compliment.
You won the
Very.
black label at the plant.
Huh?
You won the black label competition at the plant.
I guess so, yeah. I said, here's my card. They can all come and see me.
Well,
That's great.
there.
That's absolutely great.
So
135 isn't enough for 3 frames.
well, the whole thing is I'm buying them to make 5-frame nukes out of them, right? So here's my thing. Well, you guys know how my beakonomics work anyway. So it's like, if I can get something, and I'm looking towards expanding my bee yard, right? So what's the most effective way to expand my bee yard without, okay, first of all, we know splitting my colonies and doing that expands my bee yard. That's given. So let's do it from the business aspect. What's a good way to expand your bee yard? If you can get cheap bees and sell them, and all right, so let's say I pay 130. This is going to be a crazy number. Let's say I pay $100 for a nuke, or the 3-frame nuke. I add 2 frames, give them a couple weeks, and then I sell it for $200 because that's the going rate for a 5-frame nuke here. I just took $100 and made it into $200, right? But not only that, if I sold 20 of those, then feasibly the profit from those 20 would pay for 20 for me for free. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean,
they cost 100. I add 2 frames, sell them for 200. Well, then that means that profit is 100 per new. So I can buy 100 of or 20 of them off the profit and still have my original money in my pocket.
well, I think in your situation right now, the way I would do it, I would buy those 3 framers. I don't know how many you're going to get, but and build that yard up and get them honey, get them 10 framers all built up, and get your 20 or 40, 30 to 40 hives that you want to try to do.
Well, I've already started.
Get that build up, and then you get your honey coming in, and then start making some splits and stuff, and and also your insurance nuke boxes.
It comes Brian, it comes in a 3-frame nuke box. It's a 3-frame nuke. It comes in 3-frame, but I'm not taking his boxes. So because I'm giving him his boxes back, I'm getting a discount, right? I'm not having to take the box because I've got 35-frame nukes sitting out there empty right now.
Right.
So I could just move those right over, drop 2 frames on the end, throw some syrup to them, and keep it moving, right? So,
yeah, I was thinking the same thing that Charlie was thinking here too. Build your bee yard up, so you get that income from the honey there, and then start doing your splits.
I agree with you about flipping them and all that kind of stuff and making the money that way. But
you got to think about it. If I sold 20, and if I bought 40 and sold 20 of them, then those 20 that I got for myself are free bees. So then I just doubled the size of my yard during a nuke sale. Does that make sense? You follow me? So
yeah,
I'm not all at the same time. It would still, I wouldn't have 40 extra colonies, but I'd have
Mike.
colonies.
Yeah.
The beetles.
I don't know. Main thing is I mean, I know you want to build up fast and all that.
It's more about, for me, it's more about not so much the building up fast. I would like to build up faster than I have been building up, but it's more about the opportunistic side of me, right?
Yeah,
the entrepreneur.
You're a born salesman, I'll tell you.
Well, I mean,
Yeah. Well put.
look at things a little differently. I don't know what the I forget. There was a movie where the guy would look at something, and when he would see it, he would see like equations and stuff that would like pop up, and he would be able to like, I don't know, do some kind of equations really quick. And I mean, that's kind of how my mind works. And I don't know, it's fun. It keeps things.
Oh, he just froze.
I was just wondering how much honey he has on the side here to sell right now.
He doesn't.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I have honey.
Yeah, but you can't. You said you were holding back for your regulars and stuff like that.
No, but I harvested. Remember, I harvested some. I still got another 5-gallon pail, and I've got some to spin out outside still. So, yeah, I've got some. It's just that I'm not the guy that's gonna.
Come on, dog. Come here. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, Beautiful Mind, Nancy. Thank you.
Oh, is that the movie? Beautiful Mind?
Russell Crowe and I forget the actress's name. Wonderfully done. Wonderfully done.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's fun to me. Like, making that happen. Like, you know, I did it with the honey. I did it with the queens. I did it. It's just, I like that. So, I don't know. That's my thing.
Well, I mean, you know, try to build your yard up and you know, get well established and all that, and then the rest of, you know, the honey will come for you.
Yeah,
you got the equipment. You need, you know, you want to get that honey in there. And
well, I've got more colonies than I had last year, and you know, and the splitting that went into my crazy splits last year. So I'm trying to be a little smarter on the splits.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking too that Jennifer Connolly, thank you, Lee. You know, if you build up your yard or whatever, instead of buying bees, you know, for 3 frames, you know, you can get off your own.
Right.
So I don't know, you know, something I really wondered about, and you and I talked about this over the phone, and I can't remember now, but do you have that much of a nectar flow there to handle all those hives in one location?
It comes in pretty hot and heavy. I mean, I did all right this last year. It wasn't crazy. It's not like a tallow flow down there, but it's pretty steady, you know.
Okay.
Natalie's live.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael. That's a great compliment to Charlie there.
Natalie was having a live.
I saw something about her and somebody talking beekeeping. Yeah, everybody's doing lives now. Seems like.
Yeah.
She's a nice.
Yeah, she's a nice young lady,
young girl.
But the Natalie and Rainier. But the
who's that? He's froze again. I think Bob needs better internet service.
Am I just been in and out tonight?
Yeah,
you are.
In and out.
I don't know why.
And you usually don't. So, are you having some weather down there that's messing with
rain? But it shouldn't be messing with cable, right? It's under the ground.
Have you got cable or DSL?
I've got cable.
Yeah.
So who's Rainier? Is that the person's last name, or who?
No, that's his first name. It's another young beekeeper that I saw a thumbnail earlier. I don't remember if I think I saw it on Facebook or somewhere, but but you know, so the buying of the bees thing, because I've already got 4 nukes committed to other people that I committed earlier in the year. So it'd be that 16, if I sold 16.
Okay. He's Rainier was a Hive Life junior beekeeper sponsor. Okay, whatever. Or maybe he was the guy that won the thing. Bob, you froze again? Yep, he's froze.
I don't know what's going on with this thing going
Hey,
in.
girl. Hey.
Yes, that's different.
Brian's talking about cost of frames and selling boxes and all that. So I don't know. Like I say, I would concentrate on building up my hive area and getting my 20 or 40 hives built up this year and getting some nukes in there along with it. And
BIOS.
you might not be able to make queens this year as far as, I mean, if you want to, go right ahead. I like it. If you can do that, that gives you the self-sustainability for sure.
Right.
And that's another income stream.
Come on.
The way I have it. I'm selling nukes, I'm selling queens. I've already got 5 nukes sold. And I'll have virgin queens this year and mating queens.
Great.
No more cells.
Mm.
Alleviates a lot of work. If you take and drop your virgins and let them walk on into your mating boxes, then you don't have time. You don't have to worry about, how it is. You're curious. Did they hatch? So you go out there and you spend hours looking at them and all this other stuff. And now when you drop them in, here we go. Here's Philip.
Oh, hey, Philip.
Hey, Philip.
How's your weather down there?
It's cool, not like about 40 degrees or so.
Okay.
Where you at in your bee shed?
No, I guess you could call it that. I'm in my cabin at the farm. Just got I don't know if you guys can see it. It's pretty dark in there.
Oh, you got your little wood stove going there? Wonderful.
It's not focusing right now, Phil.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what's going on with my internet, so I'm gonna probably pop out of here so I don't keep freezing up on you guys.
Well, you're all right. Hey, James.
I just got on here to defend Bob and his economic idea.
The Beakonomics.
Beekenomics. Of course,
Jeff's got several nukes reserved already. That's what I've got too, Jeff.
Well, you guys buy tons of them.
What's that?
You get them with Lloyd, right? Lloyd buys a bunch of them, so I'm sure you're getting a discount.
What, nukes?
Yeah, nukes.
No, the nukes are the ones I make myself. They're overwinter nukes. I don't buy them.
Right.
Anything I buy on occasion.
Nukes were specifically to resell, right, for people to buy nukes, and
let's see. James is ripping plywood for pallets, listening in. Okay, cool.
And so that was the idea. Is those were the resale nukes. My nukes that I'm splitting are also to just expand the yard. See if I can fill the boxes up.
Good girl. Oh, yeah. Good girl.
Yeah. Wednesday night, I had my local club meeting. We had a taste testing, honey tasting, I'll say social and everything. And I had James's honey there. I had, let's see, Bohemia Bees' honey. I had Lee's
honey.
No, I had Lee's honey at Kodiak Farms, and I had shoot, I can't think of the other guy on. Not Mr. Ed.
Mike Berry.
Mike Berry. That's it. I was thinking. It was. Now, Mike, I think doesn't he live on the east side of Louisiana, and then Lee is on kind of on the western side of it, on the other end of it, I believe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, there's both tallow honey, but it seemed to me that there was a different taste between the two different honeys.
Well,
Yeah.
it's probably not pure tallow because it depends on what else they're mixing in there, right? At the same time.
I've never tasted tallow honey before.
Lee lives in Baton Rouge, and Mike lives over in the toe of the boot.
Hang on, you got me. Hang on. Okay, there you go.
And so anyway, I had let's see, Ricky Rourke's honey there. I guess there was at least 8 or 9 different honeys that I had, along with other people's honey that they brought in. One guy brought in some from like out in Kansas or Oklahoma area. It was real thick and dark and whatever. Had some spotted fly honey and stuff. And it went over very well. A lot of people, had a lot of, they got to taste. Like I told them, I said, I've got honey from all over the United States plus Canada, and got to taste James's honey and stuff. It all had different flavors about it. That's for sure. And all it was quite interesting. People really liked the idea of all the different types of honey.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm like I say, a lot of folks down at Hive Life gave me honey. We switched, bottles of honey and everything around, so it's worked out well.
Do they have any preference towards light or dark?
No, it was more of a lot of it was amber, and then a lot of it was real light looking honey. Yeah, Brian, I'm gonna, as far as Michael Palmer, he's going to be talking about what he's been talking for over 10 years about sustainable apiary and that kind of stuff and nucleus colonies. I first heard listening to him when I first started over 12 years ago or more. What I think I'm going to try to do is get a hold of Steve Rapapsy and see if he wouldn't mind come on a Friday night and talk about single brood chamber management. Maybe he'll have his book, Single Brood Chamber
Management.
Believe me, guys, it's the way to go. It's easy management for your bees. Good swarm control, as long as you equalize throughout the season, and you can double your honey production. And I've definitely witnessed that. That's for sure. And all.
Hey,
give me a kiss.
So so you say you're on the farm, Philip?
Yeah, I'm on down at Richland.
Where about?
It's called Richland, Texas, but it's
okay.
It's Central Texas. I live in kind of North Central Texas, but this is pretty much dead center of the state.
So you're south of the Panhandle, I think they call it, right?
Even Dallas is south of the Panhandle. But,
okay.
They don't even call that North Texas. They just call that the Panhandle. That's above North Texas.
Hey, I found something today by accident, and I know James is listening, so I got to show you guys this thing. Charlie, you know how I bought my little box for queen cell incubation, right?
Right.
Well, check this out. Here we go.
Well, you bought it for transporting queen cells and stuff like that.
Yeah, but look at this. This is the business. It is made by Humblebee, but it's Bluetooth, and it goes to your phone, and it holds. You can do it 2 different ways, but it holds. You can do 40 frames, or you can get a 15 frame version for cell holders, but
a new gadget.
Yeah, that's right, James.
Say before I forget,
it's what is it, an incubator, or you just put your cells in there to keep them warm?
Portable queen cell incubator keeps them warm though.
What are the dimensions?
They make us. Let's see if it's got size dimensions on here. They also got the venom collector, right, for bee venom collection. You know what? I don't know that it shows the dimensions. It says you can charge it with a USB plug. It says a 2x2 foam square gains approximately 40 cell spaces, 15 roller cages, if you want to do it roller cage. But it doesn't give the dimensions of it.
Well, I'm gonna
It's like a diver.
use my homemade incubator out of my refrigerator.
Well, this is for when you go to the bee yard, you can carry those cells with you.
Well, I mean, in your situation, if you went over to Kudix, you know, where you're an hour and 15 minutes one way and an hour and 15 minutes back, that thing, that's ideal for what you're doing. For me, all I'm doing is walking out. I'm gonna hatch the queens in the incubator,
Right.
walk out the back door, and you walk 3 minutes and you're there and all that. And now Dan Weaver here, he's talking about he's going to do the Demery method this year to pump up honey production. I actually am going to experiment with that. I was talking to my friend Donna, who's been on the show here a little more in detail Wednesday night about how she stacked her supers and stuff. Well,
the one I did the Demeray on last year is actually one of my strongest colonies this year.
Come here.
Well, I'm gonna it's going to be two different ways. I'm going to do where I'm going to cycle the brood from the bottom out of the bottom box up to a top brood chamber, and all that, but and do it that way. Or I'm going to have maybe the other hives. I will transfer the brood from one hive to another hive if it's needed. Hopefully all my queens this year in the springtime will be up and running real good. Last year I had some issues, and that's another thing me and Brad were talking about about trying to keep our queens. I want to have better notes and know that, this is a 1 year queen or this is a 2 year queen. If it's a 2 year queen, we need to replace her, and then take that second year queen. And one of the really good ideas he come up with that, it's
put her in a nuke.
Probably,
Put her in a nuke.
Put her in a nuke and let her become a resource queen. Get as many brood frames out of her as long as she produces. And
I really don't know why more people don't do that, Charlie, instead of pinching the queen.
Well,
wait a minute. You're the same guy that says if the queen is mean,
pinch her. Yeah. Now he's froze up.
What a good time.
Yeah.
Right?
No, we didn't hear any of that, Bob. What did you say? Repeat that.
You're the guy that always says if the hive's hot, just go ahead and kill her. Don't mess.
Yeah, if she's
a hot queen,
mean queen. Yeah, get rid of her. Take that hive and split it.
Apples and oranges, Bobby. Apples and oranges.
No. The principle works the same. If you move that into a nuke box, she is demoralized. That colony is no longer mean. That little nuke is not mean.
You still have the genetics then.
Then you requeen the big pissed off colony, and then it's nice again.
Yeah, but you have to remember one thing. That queen is still producing those mean genetics.
Yeah.
We don't want those genetics in our apiary. So you get rid of those genetics. What you do is take
we'll
her.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, well, James agrees. You take those take that hive and you split it up. Let's say three nukes or 4 nukes, whatever. And then you introduce a queen that's a decent, hopefully a decent queen. And then, once those worker bees that came from the mean queen die off in 6 weeks, then the genetics of the new queen will be in that hive, or those multiple nukes. And hopefully there'll be a much calmer, a more, what would you
Okay,
say?
so at some point, we can go down this rabbit hole, guys.
All right, go
Please.
ahead.
So at some point, that hive was very gentle and docile, and they were out foraging and collecting honey. They didn't just you put the queen in there and they turned into assholes overnight. That's not how it worked. You know that. And then the hive started getting big, and we're in there poking around with our hive tools and whatnot, and they get spicy on you, right? So they weren't just hatched, pissed off.
Sure they were. Well, I like Brian's idea. You can also use her, and that's what I did last year. Was I had a queen that basically ran out of sperm, and I used her in a nuke as a practice queen, picking her up with my bare fingers and actually, culling her and stuff like that. But there's some really good ideas that Brad came up with. Number one, use your old queens for resorted hives. Pull the brood out, put it in a production hive, if needed. Handle them about, if you want to get used to handling queens with your fingers and using.
And the reason I say that, I just saw James put something is because I would, at the beginning of the year, if I go in a hive and it's hot, I didn't kill that queen and requeen her, but later on in the year they mellowed out, and so.
Well, it could have superseded.
Very possible. But I didn't go in there and just, here you go, here's a new one.
Well, I mean,
you're Bob. Can I run with this, Charlie?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bob, you're equating genetics with behavior, with environment. And they're two separate things.
Yes, but you're also saying that queen's genetics in every single one of those bees. I'm
not. I'm not.
Genetic. I'm saying
not.
The reason why that hive is hot.
Well, you got to remember now, the bees that are doing the stinging are the worker bees. The queen ain't.
No, as a matter of fact, I have a really hot hive, and I'm really lucky because in 7 years I've only had one hive that was hot. But I took her out, and I smashed the crap out of her and put a new queen in there because I didn't want them raising their own. And then I took all the drone cells that I could find in that hive too, and I removed those things. Pulled the drone frames out, and they were done. I didn't want any of her behavior getting to the other ones. And this wasn't one that got all pissy because I was like lifting boxes. It was those damn things would follow me from one end of my property to the other. It was a crazy show. So
I had one hive where you would take the top off and they would literally fly up into your
launch
the veil.
Oh, I had.
And now I normally associate that behavior with a hive that is queenless. And I had thought that hive was queenless. And I started going through, and all of a sudden, boom, it was a black queen. And there she was walking around on a dark frame. And I spotted her, and I'm like, okay, we do have a queen in here. And she is, this is definitely a hot hive, not a crazy hive because there's no queen.
I'm okay.
All right. There's 3 against 1, Bob.
Well, Philip had
on the chat.
So
if when they're small, when they get big, they're going to be alive. You can tell when they're new. If they fly up at you and bounce off your head, they may not sting at that moment, but when they get enough that they can waste a few, they start coming in. And you're not going to, you can knock them back down and they'll calm down briefly, but as soon as they grow back up again, they're going to start popping with you.
Well,
James says we're going to send all the hot queens to Bob.
Do it.
Help Bob.
Yeah. I like Larry Moore's comment too. Tonight in this corner, tonight.
I've only requeened a mean queen once.
Came on here to defend Bob, and now I'm attacking him.
Well, no, it's so my thing is, and it's not just this topic,
Hey,
guys.
how you doing?
I think we put. I'm not. This is going to sound weird. We put way too much emphasis on the queen's genetics because.
It's the drone genetic too.
Well, yeah, but I mean, she's laying those drones, right? So they're made. I understand that, but even Michael Palmer said, the VSH. He said that's bullshit, and that was out of his mouth on a.
Yeah.
He's coming up.
Randy Oliver says.
He's thinking right now.
Randy Oliver says, if they sting me, I kill the thing.
Yep, he does say that, but he also said, see, which is kind of adverse, right? He kills the queen, but he also said in the same stream, that same stream you're talking about, he said, how did he put it? That VSH was BS because he's been breeding for sensitive hygiene in all.
That's something totally different.
No,
You're talking about
genetics, Mike. Genetics are genetics. You can't say, well, she's genetically prone to be mean, and we can
I can
breed that out. And then you can't say, then on the other hand, you can't say that VSH, oh, well, we're having a hard time breeding for that.
You're just changing topics though, Bob. I mean, honest to God, if you've got a hot hive, you do not want that queen proliferating their genetics around. That's all there is to it. I just don't understand this track of thought. I'm missing the ball here.
Well, have the last two Bob Benny videos? You back, Bob?
You know what? Let me restart my computer, guys. Let me hop out.
Yeah.
Later. But now back as far as like the last two Bob Benny videos with the science guy, I forget what his name is. I watched him. After everybody had been talking about it, and he was talking about moving frames of brood from one hive to the next, to the next, to the next, which seems to help the genetics and the bees themselves. And then he was talking about, just like what Bob's talking about, is the what was it? Trying to manipulate the genetics like VHS and stuff like that. And he was talking about like sperm, like where you would have, your AI queens and all that kind of stuff. And you're only selecting the drones for that, and trying to get a certain response from the queen through the bees and stuff. And he said, going out and having a queen mate with 60 different drones, or as many as possible, let's say at least 20 or 30, he was saying. I think there was a highest number they knew. It was 70 or something like that. Drones, one queen was mated, is what the record is. And
wow,
he said the more drones that queen can mate from is actually better than.
All right, I'm back. Sorry if I'm yelling too. I'm half deaf. If you didn't know.
No, actually, your volume, you could turn it up just a hair, but it's not too bad.
Oh, okay. My wife's like, "Why are you yelling?" Oh, didn't realize I was yelling. Sorry. No, so we'll take the whole. Let's just take the whole mean hive out of it, and the whole VSH thing out of it. With Randy Oliver, he said that he was breeding for VSH, right? And over 8 years with his colonies, he went from like 0.5% to like 8% of his colonies that he was able to, even with his secluded colonies, to even increase his VSH tendencies on the colony.
Well, now let me ask you this: do you know whether or not he was doing artificial insemination with that, or was it just open breeding?
I think he was just grafting from his
Queens that he
VSH
liked.
queens. Yeah. So
Right, but I mean, a lot of that, I think like Corey Stevens and all that. I think,
but with
I don't know.
genetics,
I mean, like you say, it's very complicated. But I think when you're talking about VASH and all that stuff, they're really into this
but
artificial insemination to get
right, which
to that
gives you a
point.
little bit more control. But what they don't take into consideration, I've never heard anybody say it, is that there are dominant genes and there are recessive genes. There's stuff that is very prominent, and then there's stuff that is just in there that once in a while just rears its head, right? Like my sister having red hair. None of the rest of us have red hair, but my sister has red hair because somebody in the chain has red hair.
Well,
And you can't breed those, you can't breed that out. You know what I mean? So the same thing is,
No, but you can cull it. You cull those genetics. You remove them.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you, Bob. I mean, as far as
I mean, I only spent 8 years in college to study health science on this type of topic. So that's why I get passionate about it. And it applies to biology in general. So my thing is, yep, if you kill that queen, yes, you are removing whatever minuscule amount of dominance that hive might be trying to put out there. It just, I think in the long scheme of things, you might have good things in that mean colony. Maybe they're very VSH, right? Maybe the only thing that maybe they're spicy, but they're very low mites all the time. Maybe they're very hygienic. You know, maybe they produce great honey. You know, maybe they're just always a massive colony. So I think instead of just culling it, you kind of need to take the whole thing into play and say, if you do mate off of that, there's nothing saying that when you graft off of that queen that's making this, they might be hot, but they're making this big ginormous colony for you, that when that new queen goes out and gets mated, doesn't mean that one's going to come back spicy just because mama's genetics were there, because all the drones that she's mating with probably don't have that spiciness.
All right, I got Mark here in the comments. Mark Miller, he does a lot of queen rearing. And I don't quite understand what he's stating here, but he says from AI queen open mate at F1s, worker bees 50%, drones 100%. I don't quite understand this.
No, I lost that too.
I know
AI. What we're saying is the drones are going to carry all of the mother's genetics because there's nothing else in them. But the worker bee.
Oh, okay.
A mixture of her genetics and the drones who made it.
So I'm just going to. I just can't.
But let me finish that. What Mark is saying is you are going to be flooding from that hive drones that have that same tendency as that queen has. So you are going to be affected. But again, that's different than raising young off that queen. Bob is completely right about that. You can raise young off that queen. That's safer than actually letting them make young.
So it's
somebody asked Kim Flutton once,
right? It just
somebody asked Kim Flutton once about I've got a hive that no matter what I do, the thing just lights up and stings me all over the place. What should I do with it? And Kim looked at the gal and said, well, let me ask you one question here. How many more times do you want to get stung?
Well, we're talking about two different things, though. Fixing that hive, yes, that fixes the hive. And Bob's talking about breeding off of it. I thought we were talking about just fixing the hive, too.
Well, I'm just saying, the topic kind of went to spreading those genetics. right? And that's where I kind of went off into the breeding thing. But
you are, but through the drones only. But like Mark said, you're getting 100% of her genetics. There's nothing else involved in the drone except her genetics.
Hey, buddy.
But so I guess I guess the consensus here, and hey, if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong, but I don't mind spicy bees. I get stung all the time. Y'all see it on my videos. It just happens. So, and most of mine are pretty nice. You know,
I don't know. I mean,
call, and I'm in there digging in their brood boxes. You know, then they get a little bit spicy when their boxes are everywhere.
I can send you a package if you want, if you need me to, if you really like it.
But
Please, Philip.
I didn't say I liked it. I just said I don't go over there to smash her as soon as I get stung a few times. Now, if they're like,
no, that's not what we're talking about.
No, you said if it's a hive.
Let me tell you guys a quick story. I got new beekeeper. Some guy just got my name off my website, and he had tree that the tree was broken in half and fallen down and had bees in it. So when he called the guys over to cut the tree up, the bees started stinging all the workers. So he asked me if I could come get the bees. He didn't want to kill the bees. I went over there with my chainsaw and I cut like a 3-foot section over the knot. Well, the first thing I did was I said, you know what? I'm going to stand here and just vacuum up these defensive bees at the entrance. So I stood there for about an hour just vacuuming up bees as they would come out, and they were mean as hell. I'm fully suited up, and I bet I don't get more than about 500 or 600 bees standing there. They never quit. I finally just gave up, just sucked it up, tried to cut the knot. Well, the hive went way up into the tree, way beyond what I could get to. So I finally told the guy, I said, the queen's in there somewhere. Maybe you could, I left him with the commander, maybe you can run them out, maybe you could make a move. Anyway, I went home, I took those bees that I had in my vacuum cleaner, I stuck them in a box. I'm telling you, there weren't more than 500 bees. Those bees didn't give a damn if they only had 500. They were going to use every stinger they had. They stung neighbors on both sides of them.
That was hot. Well, were they Africanized?
all right, Mike.
Apparently they were. So anyway,
You okay?
So,
yeah.
I told the guy I couldn't do anything. A week later, the guys had somehow they had cut it out and cut the tree up. And I thought maybe they'd killed the bees. I don't know. But he calls me up. It was like a Sunday evening, and the sun's starting to go down. And he said, my neighbor has a pile of bees in their yard. I said, yeah, they probably came out of that cotton. So I went over there. I said, I'll go put a box on them and see if they go in. I thought I would. So I put the box on the ground. I went over there right after dark, put the box on the ground by the pile of bees, put a little lemongrass on the back of it. And the bees kind of looked up and they all just walked in the box. And of course, his neighbor and him, they thought I was a magician.
Oh, that's funny.
They thought it was like black magic or something. So I brought those bees and put them with the mean sons of bitches that were stinging me. And I was like, okay, they got their queen back. Maybe they'll calm down. Oh, no.
Oh, they never did?
No, they came out to the very first opportunity I could, I brought them out here to the farm. And all I really wanted to do was get them out here long enough to get requeen. So, yeah, I ended up having to requeen them out here, too, because they didn't matter how small they were. They were just a nuke. This little pile of bees that I got was probably a bunch of bees.
Now, I have tried to requeen a hive like that was hot, but it turned out that they were they went queenless, right? And when I requeened it, they didn't want a new queen. They would kill her. I mean, even if they released her from the cage, they would still boom, whack her. So
if they got one egg to make a queen with, sometimes they'll do that. But these actually did requeen, and they made a decent nuke, but they ended up getting it was late in the year and they were so small they ended up getting robbed out and dying out.
Same thing that Sourwood says. Her daughter's drones will have 100% of her genetics.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, now I got something else here.
So see, it's just about stimulating conversation, guys. I'm not trying.
Yeah,
You know, sometimes you got to poke the bear for.
but this is really good. You know, it's good knowledge that everybody should know about their hives. All right, so now Robin Hood here says, so by changing the queen out of a hive, that means it is not the
It's just
case
being
could
wonky
be
tonight.
in the drone from the other hives, or other hives, not necessarily yours, not the case of to kill her, maybe be to put her in a 3-frame box. All right, so what he's trying to say is that,
He's agreeing with you.
Same thing I said was demoralize her, put her in a small colony. Don't give her that many bees, and then requeen the mother colony, right? Which is still requeening her, just not dispatching her. And if they're too weak, they're going to die over there anyway. But you know, it is what it is. Am I still?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're good.
You're so frozen there, Bob.
I'm going in and out my internet's going in and out for some reason because I only have StreamYard and YouTube going right now. That's it on my whole computer, and it's way underutilized right now.
So I'm going to back the conversation up here, Bob. You had that a hive that was really weak, and your friend took it to see what they could do with it. Okay.
here's what Mark says: hot hive, kill queen, get larva from a good hive, OTS that frame. All right, on the spot queen rearing. What that means.
And that's the same as a walk away.
Yeah, it's on the, well, no, what it is, OTS, it was by a guy out in, I don't know, Minnesota or someplace like that. Anyway, Mel, that's all I can, don't ask me how to pronounce his last name. It's German or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, you have your eggs, and what you do, and you got this is your cell, and you take your hive tool and you break the bottom edge of that cell down. So what they do is that gives it, it entices the worker bees to bring the queen cell down, build it downward at vertical queen cell, and they'll make queens out of that right there. It's kind of like a supersedure cell or a walk away split type cell.
I've done that, and it's kind of fun just to screw around with it. It's kind of interesting. So if you just, for instance, just have a 5-frame nuke and pull the queen out and put her in another one and leave them in there, and it's. I think somebody was talking about that they wanted like 3-day-old larva, and someone else was messing around and said, no, you want the eggs immediately. And so they get from the get-go, and they get that initial.
Yeah, you got your eggs sticking out there like that, and then you break that cell down, that bottom of the cell wall down with your hive tool. You just kind of stick it in there and just lean it down like that. And then they can draw out the cocoon down. It's I mean, I'm sure it's fun. It's a easy way of doing things. I don't know. I graft, and I find that to be really fun a lot. I really enjoy that.
Oh, Charlie, honestly, if I had your steady hands, I think that would be great. I would love to do that. Yeah. Open the bottom cell. Yeah. Thanks, James.
What do you want to do, Phil?
So what Mark was saying works, but you still have to kill the queen, wait a few days, and knock down all the cells they make them hopelessly queenless, because they're gonna pick their genetics over what you give them if you give it to them immediately.
Want to go there? Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, and we should have said something earlier about that stuff. But Bob, I was going to ask you what happened. You had a hive that was very weak, and your friend took it?
Yeah, so I had it in a medium, right? And it just kept dwindling down to, it was like a tiny cluster. I think James and I think the queen just ran out of sperm is what ended up happening. And that's why I was saying that when you get a nuke, the other day I was saying, when you get a nuke, there's an overwintered queen, and then there's an old queen. So the way they do it in Canada, when they make those nukes up in the fall, she hadn't had that whole season of laying the spring and summer, right? So when she comes over winter for the first spring, that would be her first year. And if a lot of these nukes that we buy, they have queens that were raised in the spring, they were ran all year long, right? And then they overwinter 1 year, and then they're split out into a nuke and sold. So you're actually getting a 1-year-old queen. So I think that's what happened with that nuke I got. I think it was an old queen. And
Okay.
so it just, I mean, it was huge on that video that when Ricky Rourke came down to my house, that thing was as tall as I was. And we were going through it, and they were kind of spicy at that time. But they were creating the honey, man. They were pumping it out. And I'm like, oh, this is a great colony. Shoot, they didn't make it. They made it down to, we reduced the space down. They were in a single medium. And I added some bees, some brood. They hatched out, and then they just died.
And it just went downhill from there. Yeah, yeah.
So
I had a nuke like that.
And I put them in a 2-frame nuke. The 2 frames that they were on with the queen, and put them in a 2-frame.
It ain't gonna do anything.
And
no.
I had a 5-frame nuke, 5/5, alongside of that, and you had a visual of, I got a visual of the queen in there, nice looking queen. And then alongside that, I had another nuke. It was down in 5 frames, bees, but no queen. So I combined those two here several months ago, late fall. And then, all right, I'm giving her more bees to do more, to cover more brood and whatever.
Right.
And all that. And I marked it. I have a little, it's called, it's a sticky note, but it's the extreme sticky notes, which it'll take rain and everything, and it'll stay on there, and you can still read it. And I labeled it a weak hive, and reduced it down and whatever in room, and it finally died. It sounds just like your hive that you're talking about, and the bees were all dead at the bottom, and that was the end of it, and you're done. It's just
but the thing is, of those nukes that I bought, I bought 5. Remember, I bought 5 of them. There's only 2 of those 5 that are still alive today. So the other 3 just didn't make it. I mean, one didn't even make it to winter, and they were strong nukes. Didn't make it to winter. The other one is that one we're talking about, and got one.
The thing of it is, down where you live at, you don't really have a winter compared to like I do.
No, not at all. But that's what I'm saying. So all like my big colonies all had brood. I mean, if usually I can attribute them perishing to mainly something I do, right? So I say that's the biggest killer of bees is the beekeeper. Not the varroa mite or the hive beetle or anything else. It's the beekeeper. But if you have a mean hive,
I agree with that, Robin Hood. I mean, is just go ahead and split them out. If it's a really mean hive.
Yeah, you can do that.
And utilize the hive as far as the bees go and the brood and whatever. And
that's actually not a bad idea. Take that brood and split it up to if it's in a double deep, you could split it all the way down to a single nuke, and then use Mike's method and hive tool test a queen and put a new one in, and then
do a newspaper merge with the supers over something else and let them go. You've got that way, so why waste the bees as long as you got them right?
Yeah, I mean, and if you're doing it right and have some nukes set up, you could just literally dispatch that queen, newspaper merge in a nuke, and she's queen right again and good to go.
Yeah, it's a happy thing. So
I don't know if it's my house or is there somebody's got a smoke detector beeping?
I heard that.
Not me.
Well, you're the only one smoking.
I mean, we don't have. It's an old house. I'm
I'm
lucky
not-
I've got it here.
You think it's me? I'm not hearing it. There's this little. I was gonna brag and see that fan over my shoulder.
No, Philip, it was a chirp.
It was a chirp. Maybe it's mine. I don't know. I have to look around and see. I thought I already took mine down. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. Who knows?
Brag about my fan. My son got me that for Christmas. That's one of those things that's the heat from the stove.
Yeah.
What's that engine called?
I don't know, but it's a little piston in there that.
Yeah. That's they actually used to run water pumps like that. Just build a fire underneath it. Oh man. Yeah, those things are slick. I like those.
I saw Ian had one on his stove. So I just now I'm like Ian. So I'll start making filters with any per kind.
No, you never have to worry about batteries, and the only thing you got to do is once you get the thing going, just give it one spin, and she kicks up. Yeah, they're slick.
I tried to spin it, and I spun it the wrong way, and even that little bit, when it rocked back, it took off on its own. I didn't spin it the right direction.
Why deposit?
Yeah.
Well, you're not really. It's not about the bees you're depositing. It's the brood that you're splitting out, right? The bees, the bees are finite amount of time, but you're actually giving a boost with nurse bees to a
Absolutely.
colony.
Absolutely. And to Dennis Berry's point here, I mean, in 8 years, I've only had one hive that was so hot that I just couldn't do anything with it.
And the other side of that equation is if you're not a queen breeder or you don't have access to mated queens and stuff like that, you could really, I mean, and some people don't care. They're just set that back. I saw a guy on YouTube who had a hot hive. He just poured a whole bucket of soapy water and killed the whole thing. So that to me was the weak way out, right? But
well, now let me clarify on that because I had to do that. Not me. Well, let's see. Was it me? That was my cousin. My cousin.
Yeah.
I got her a new queen from down in Georgia. We put that queen in there, and I mean, she was. I'm talking seriously hot. I'm talking. They are after me. I told she was coming out of their garage. I said, "Get in there. Get out. Don't come outside."
Yeah.
And then she had chickens, and the bees were after the chickens, and they started stinging around the eyes and stuff. We actually had to brush the chickens.
You needed to call the chickens because the chickens
get them inside or coop,
picking them off.
And well, 3 of them died. They killed.
They'll kill them, Bob.
Yeah.
They killed 3 or 4 chickens, and I mean, them bees were just. I mean, they just weren't steaming. They were ferocious.
They were hunting.
They were, they were really. They followed me around the building and getting in my pickup truck and everything. So, soapy water killed them. Now she did it she told me frame by frame, but what was really the best one I've seen was the guy up in New Jersey there. Can't think of his name.
Frank.
The Beekeepers podcast starts with a J, I thought.
I'm drawing a blank, but
well, anyway, he did a video on that. He thought he was going to get a lot of flack, but he didn't. And he closed the hive up with tape and all that kind of stuff. And then he put a screen top board over top of instead of a solid inner cover, it's screened. And then he poured a 5-gallon bucket of soapy water right into the hive like that. Killed him out. Kevin England. That's who it is. And he did it that way.
So I will say I haven't had bees to that extent.
I mean, they were Africanized as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, and if you have neighbors around your house or whatever, or if you have, in Charlie's case, chicken, dogs, animals, anything that's fenced in where they can't get away too.
Attacking. I mean, these chickens were out in a chicken tracker quite a little distance over there.
Yeah.
And they started jumping up and down where the darn bees were stinging.
Oh no.
And all that. I mean, I'm talking 50 feet away or 100 feet away. They were after them. They were after anything moving.
Oh, yeah.
That's how mean these bees were.
You met Bob Walker at Hive Life too, Brian.
And Bob Kloss, he was down there at Hive Life, and Kevin was down there. Actually, I seen Kevin first, and then he said Bob was down at the I think Ian's when Ian was talking, and I caught Bob, and I actually had him zoom into my club for a speaking engagement.
Yeah, I haven't had any hot hives that hot, and it doesn't matter. You know, you watch Sam, my mentor's videos, and he puts his hand right over the nuke.
Yeah.
Now you froze up, Bob.
Good. Can I tell my bee euthanasia story too?
Please.
While we're on the subject.
Yeah, go ahead, Phil.
When I bought my bees, the first bees I got, I bought 2 hives from a guy, and I made the agreement to buy them, but when I showed up, he said, I got to have full disclosure. He said, I went out there to check on those bees, make sure everything was okay before you came. And he said, they stung me a bunch. And he said, I came back in the house and I started having a reaction. So he yelled upstairs to his son who was in the shower, and he didn't think his son heard him. So he sat down with his phone, and all he could do was, he said, the room started going below. He was having a reaction to the bees.
Yeah.
And he got hit like 30 times, which is not really that big a deal most of the time. But this particular thing it was for him. And he dialed 911, and then all of a sudden he remembers his son standing there, what's going on, and saw the condition he was in. And his son grabbed him up, and luckily he lived just like around the block from the hospital. So literally, my children were born there. He was literally around the block from the hospital. They got him into the, and they took him in the hospital, and they checked his blood pressure, and his blood pressure was like 90 over 50 or something like that, and dropping. And when they saw that, they just ran in there and they slammed that needle in his arm and they gave him that adrenaline. And he said in 5 minutes he felt normal. And he told the doctor, he said, man, that's some good stuff you gave me. He said, it took 5 minutes and I felt fine. And the doctor said, you were 5 minutes from being dead. So he said, you were crashing. So anyway, he was telling me this about this one of the colonies. And I got him home. I did my first inspection. I found out right away which colony he was talking about because they were really hard.
Oh, he still sold you that colony, huh? Here, get these bees out of here.
I didn't pay much for them anyway, but still, I took them home and they were hot. And that was in July of 2020. And I actually made splits off of those 2. That happened to be the one that killed the queen. You know, they were really mean. They killed the queen I gave them. But the other one accepted the queen. So the next spring, my plan was I was going to split the colonies with a queen excluder. And then, you know, where the queen wasn't, I was going to take eggs from my gentler colony and put them in the hot one. When I tried to split them, they were so mean. They were all over me. They went and stung my neighbors who were out in their yards. So I just put them back together and said, I'll deal with them when I get out here to the country. So that's why I was taking them anyway. I got them out here, and I started to do what I intended to do, was just to split them, and they just covered me. I mean, I was like, oh, shit. And I had seen, and I came back, I heard about euthanizing colonies, so I came back in the cabin, I Googled euthanizing colonies on my phone, and there was a guide. So the way you do this is you don't just sort dish soap, you take the bees from where they are accustomed to being, and you move them 50 feet or 50 100 yards or whatever. You move them away, so when they leave, they want to go back to where they're used to. That way you're not dealing with so many bees. And then you start taking you get your soapy water into a bucket, and you start shaking the bees into the bucket. So now you've reduced the colony by at least half. And then you can go back and deal with the ones that are flying back to home base. If you try to deal with them at where they are, it's going to be miserable for you.
So basically you're losing the forager force.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you do. So I did that. I drug them up, I pulled them away, and I did all that, and these bees kept stinging me. I couldn't understand, and I literally had to wear my bee jacket all day when I dealt with these things, and they stung me until I got into my truck to go home, and then it finally occurred to me, like, okay, I know when they're chasing me around. They don't know where to go. I moved them there that morning and then tried to deal with it. They hadn't reestablished where home was. They really had nothing else to do except chase me around and sting me all day. So that's a lesson to be learned. If you move bees, don't try to do anything with them for about a week. Let them get reestablished. Because my plan to relocate them and kill them that did no good. Mm. They just followed me the whole. That's really all they had left to do was follow me around and sting me that whole day.
There's some years ago, hive killed a guy in Breckenridge, Texas.
Was that a Africanized hive?
Probably.
So
I don't know. I like the idea of Kevin England, where you just put a screen top on, and you just pour the 5-gallon in, you're done. You know?
Yeah, that was interesting to watch. That was
quick and easy.
Yeah. Say, I wanted to mention before I forget here, Michael Palmer. If you've never seen his talk at the National Honey Show in England on sustainable apiaries, it's phenomenal. And at that same meeting, they had Dr. Jamie Ellis, talking about the biology of honeybees. Those are the two absolutely wonderful talks, but his talk there on sustainable apiaries, and it's interesting because he collects these old books, from like the 1500s, 1700s, something like that. And he was talking about finding, and I'm gonna screw this up, but he was talking about basically skep beekeepers actually making kind of nucs or something like that, smaller hives to introduce. So yeah, DC, I actually watched it 3 or 4 times too. It's phenomenal. And then at that same talk, that same year, I think he also does a talk on beekeeping in the northern climates. So,
Randy, that's a good one there. I don't know whether I'd go that far.
Oh, dear Lord, Randy.
He was sterilizing at the same time.
Yeah, okay, that'd make one hell of a candle. Literally. Oh, my gosh. Oh, that's okay. Well, I take it that hive really pissed you off. So what do you guys do this weekend?
What Michael was talking about, that skep, it was a double layered skep where you could take.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was. You could take. It was like.
Oh, thank you.
Far, and it stopped. Then it had like a jar lid, you might say, and then you pulled that off, and all, and that's how you did it, and all that. But he was saying, what was it they were used to use, a silver nitrate or something like that, where they actually gassed the bees and killed them, and then they took the honey out of them. Of course, they had plenty of bees. They just went around and got skeps and everything like that.
I'll tell you what, if I ever get one that's like that, I'll do a YouTube video, but I'll take some thermite and put it in the colony and shoot it, and then watch the bit blow up. Watch it blow up.
Oh my gosh!
I'd probably have.
What's thermite?
You haven't seen that? It's that explosive that people put on stuff and shoot it, and it just explodes like dynamite.
Okay.
So.
Well, it burns. What the heck was it? My dad had in his base in Germany. There was one sergeant that was he had a hot rod Jeep and nobody liked him. So somebody took a thermite grenade and put it on the hood of the Jeep. It's a mixture of aluminum powder and metal oxide, usually iron.
Not thermite, tannerite. That's what it is.
Oh, tannerite! Oh, for crying out loud!
Yeah, I would open the colony up and and put the tannerite in there somewhere, or hang it on the colony and shoot it and just blow the bits.
Oh man, alive. Okay, well you could even go plastic or whatever. That's just crazy.
Like an old box, right? The oldest
Yeah.
box I have, and then
Well, yeah, Cayman Reynolds did that in the video where he was talking about a new mite treatment with his cousin.
I think he was using Kinnepec. I think.
I don't know what they used. It was funny. He was like, "You serious? This is gonna work?" Yeah, and it's exploded the whole box.
That was a good one. Go ahead.
I just wanted to offer this subject that have you guys have heard about the comfort hive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes like a 12 by 12 box and he puts like skewers on the top and they build their comb down.
Oh yeah, Sam Comfort. Yeah, okay.
50 feet now. When I saw that high, I was like, oh man, that's real hokey, I didn't even think that much of it, whatever. But then I saw that he was doing a presentation. There's a video he released probably a couple of weeks ago. And I saw it and he's there and he's got like this stuffy hat and literally wearing a t-shirt and pajamas giving a presentation. So I saw that and I said, okay, it was Sam Comfort, which kind of piqued my interest for a minute.
Phil, are you on your phone, Phil, or is it your mic or what?
Is it bad?
You're really muffled. You have a Bluetooth in your ear with your hat pulled over it?
No, it's probably just the bad coverage. It's probably the bad coverage out here.
Oh.
Now you sound pretty good right there.
Okay.
I guess you're close to him.
Yeah. But anyway, I finally got around to watching that video. And man, that dude knows his stuff. If you guys get a chance, go watch that video. I was mesmerized for like an hour and a half, whatever he's talking about. He is really good.
Now, who's that again?
Sam
Comfort. Sam. SAMCOMFART, right? Comfort.
Yeah. He tells his whole history about how he got into beekeeping and what he does. And the reason he made those hives was because he didn't have any money and he was trying to raise queens. So those were actually queen mating colonies. They weren't ever intended for people to do honey production. It's just a derivative of what he had to do at the time to keep making queens. So he didn't have any money. So he made the cheapest thing he could to do queen mating meat. It's fantastic to watch that video.
I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, he's a big natural beekeeper. DC. I've seen some of his stuff in he was at. I think he's located in Florida. I'm not. He was in Florida at one time, and then
he moves around quite a bit. He's kind of gypsy. But
Anarchy apiaries. Yeah. I've seen a couple times.
The name of his video is "Treatment Free but Not Stupid."
Yeah, I do know that there's a girl up in New York State, I think it is, that she does a lot of queen or bees and queens and stuff. And Sam was up there on one of the weekends where they teach how to raise queens and stuff, his style, and that kind of stuff.
He raises about 5,000 queens a year. But yeah, I thought he was just kind of and he is a little bit of I thought he was just kind of a free love hippie, but not really. He's really, really calm. And how he stumbled into that whole, he didn't get into it to be treatment free. He got into it working for somebody else. And he saved their bees with, I think, formic is what he used on those bees. And they still, almost all of them died, but the 10% that lived is what he started.
Sourwood said it's probably Tuca. Yeah, I think Tuca, she works for Michael Palmer also, or part-time, and then she travels to Florida.
Palmer, yeah.
Pretty sure. I don't know. I think I got on her channel and she emails, about, going up into the New York or wherever and learning the Queen Run, and Sam's there. But something that it's just be nice to do, but I'm not going to travel that far to do just something I've already kind of know how to do.
Yeah.
But I'd seen his hive and seen how he was dressed in that presentation. I'd already made my mind up about him, and I was totally wrong.
Yeah, he like you say, he looks kind of like a hippie type of thing, and maybe that's why I started listening to him, and I'm like, okay, he I guess he does have different ideas, and maybe I need to give him a little break and watch him closer too.
Yeah, I think he was a little prone to exaggerating too, because he was talking at one point about running 3,000 or 5,000 hives by himself, and I'm like,
I think he was working for somebody in the Florida
please,
area.
that makes sense. Yeah,
I think that's where he kind of got his start.
Okay.
And then he got interested, and then of course he's trying to do it himself.
Well, the story he tells is the beekeeper that he was working for, or had worked for in the past, was running about 3,000 hives, but then that guy's bees started collapsing. This is right when Varroa mite came on the scene. So he sends all of his bees down to Florida because he's only got 500 colonies left. He went from 3,000 to 500. And he sends them down to Florida, and he calls Sam up and says, look, dude, I don't know what's going on. Can you help me? And he's like, I don't really have anything else to do. Sure, I'll go do that. So he went down to Florida, and he started looking through the man's bees. And he's like, he calls him back. He goes, yeah, you got a real problem. He said, all these bees are just walking around with like deformed wings, which they didn't have a name for it then. And they couldn't even fly. And he said they were just wandering around and just dying. And he said, yeah, he said, we're down to 250 hives already. And he said, so the guy sends him like 2 5-gallon buckets of formic acid, because he had talked to some commercial beekeepers, and he didn't even know what to do with it. He said, treat them with this. So he's like trying to figure out how much to use. He said formic acid wasn't even tested or approved or anything like that. So he starts, he's adding a little bit of water, and he's watering it down, and he's experimenting, and he's trying to figure out how much to give them, and ended up only like 10% of the colonies survived. And from that, he knew he had to do something, so he started grafting and learned to graft on the spot. But he said he was horrible at the beginning. But he taught himself to graft, and he built the man's colonies back up to the original 500 before the end of the season, with the 10% that was left over. Yes, it's riveting to listen to that particular presentation. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey guys, I got to run off here. Troy and I are driving up to Lake Superior about 5 in the morning to go to the Northeast beekeeping thing. So I'm going to get out, run some animals, and shower and pack and get going. But yeah. What's that?
I said beekeeping and ice fishing, right?
The funny thing is that we can't really do any ice fishing this year in Minnesota, Philip, because the snow is so thick that the ice hasn't developed.
Oh.
So in my lake, usually there'd be almost 2 feet of ice out there right now, and there's about 10 inches. So I saw one drunk out there in the lake with a pickup truck, and I'm like, just put some bright colored clothing on so we can find your body a little easier.
Hey, the week I spent in Minnesota with the sled dog, they told us we could go on it with 2 inches. He said, I won't go on it with less than 4 with the dog. But he said people can drive on it with 6 inches. And I was like,
oh yeah, you absolutely can. But when this ice is what we call rotten. Sorry. I guess I lost it there. Rotten. So it's still 10 inches of ice. You should be able to drive a car in it, but it's really porous and crap and everything else. On a funny note, gentlemen, every now and then some guys will drive a vehicle or something like that out on Lake Superior, and then the ice floe will break away. and they go for a ride, and they have to send the Coast Guard to get them. That's happened so much in the 20s that there was just a ton of Model A's and Model T's or whatever, at the bottom, right outside of the Duluth Harbor, and people are like, "Hey, let's go dive the cars." So, anyways, well, God bless y'all. Have a good weekend.
All right, Mike. We'll catch you later.
See you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Hey, Spanking.
Hey,
What's happening? What you doing?
oh, nothing too much. Getting ready to start gardening, and it's starting to warm up a bit here.
What kind of temperatures you got down there in North Carolina?
It was in the 50s today, 50s.
Yeah, it's
Trying to
about
get
what it
it-
was here. Supposed to be 50 in the 60s next week around here. I don't whether that'll hold true or not. They said that a couple weeks ago and it didn't hold true. So anyway,
Where's your producer tonight?
who's that?
Lee.
Lee? I don't know.
I
I
saw
figured I'd try to run this show by myself.
I thought I saw him in the chat.
Huh?
I thought I saw him in the chat at one point.
He was in chat, yeah. Yep,
probably watching
was.
the rest of Yellowstone.
I guess.
It's supposed to rain here all weekend, so there's not going to be too much beekeeping going on.
Yeah, it was Sunday. Now they're telling us Sunday is going to rain, but then they said it's going to be south of Baltimore. So I don't think I'm going to get everything.
That's one
all
reason
that.
why I equalized and stuff before the rain, right? So they would have to stay in the colony.
Right, right. That way it keeps the bee. They'll lose their memory if it's in there for a while.
Try to keep them stacked in there.
DC said he was over at Natalie's chat earlier.
So, Bob, when do your nukes show up?
Just talking to Mark, they should be here hopefully right around the last week in March. So if they're here in the last week in March,
Froze up again.
I don't know what's going on with my internet.
Yeah, you don't usually have that problem.
No, I don't know, but it's going to be probably the last week in March. They'll get to me,
Okay.
right around that time. So probably mid-April, which they're
That'll actually be good.
Yeah, that's probably pretty much standard in your area. Yes, April 2nd is April 1st is when people around here start buying meat.
Well, as long as I can, whatever it is, if I sell half of them, then half of whatever I sell. If I sell five I get for free, basically. You know what I mean? Because it's paying for that. So, so it's just a expansion opportunity, and
even if you don't sell many, you're going to expand your apiary, so you'll cover it from one of that, unless you bought 100.
Good night, Soap and Suds. He's froze up again.
Yeah, that. Never has that problem.
I see your guys' pictures are going black in this circle, and it's going out, and everybody's popping in like that, but it's actually mine that's messing it up. So,
Might be a balloon over top of you.
Yeah, I'm probably going to put those nukes, however many it is, down into the chestnut grove. So, and give them.
Now, is that going to be good for you? Because you seem to have a lot of problems there, and you were saying something about there was a field across the road that
it's a
they were
strawberry
spraying or whatever.
That they were spraying. The law here is they can only spray that stuff at night. But I don't think that was what was wiping my colonies out. I was just making way too weak splits there, So
What were they spraying?
I don't know. Yeah, I know it was a fun. So I stopped and talked. I put out weak nukes just in case, and I just never could get them strong enough to start, expanding on their own. That was the problem. And it was late. It was like May before I even put them out there. So they missed a lot of the nectar flow, so they didn't have time to really get started good.
Right.
But
Yeah, these are splits you made though, right?
yeah, last year. Yep. Those were splits. They were weak though when I put them over there.
I don't think you can make splits and sell them as nukes unless everything goes perfectly.
Yeah. So I ended up, the nukes that I sold last year that I split off of mine, I made the splits and I put a brand new mated queen in them. Right.
Yeah, you can do that. But if you're waiting for queen cells to hatch, put in like 2 frames of brood, you're not getting them up to 5 frames in time to sell for spring meat.
Yeah, it's so aggravating. I'm sorry about this tonight, guys, but that's what he does. He does walk away splits on all of his nukes he sells. So it takes him a long time to fill his nuke orders. Me, not so much. I'm pretty much the guy when everybody else, like the bee stores, have sold their nukes out and people are looking for nukes. That's my niche, right? Afterwards. Oh, you need queens? Well, okay, let's sell you some queens and stuff like that. So, and because it's so close, I can, how many queens do you need? Okay. And I can just run down there and get them. And okay, I'll have them for you Saturday or whatever, when you're off, and I'll go up Friday, pick them up and bring them back, or early on Saturday morning and have them ready for them. And they're already caged and everything. I won't even have to do anything, but here you go.
Where did you get them?
From Cudix.
Right when they get the good information.
Cudix honey, they're based out of New York State, but they have a yard there about an hour and 15 minutes from Bob's house in South. What is the name of that town?
Manning, South Carolina.
Manning, South Carolina.
Out in the middle of the boondocks. And they only have about 5 acres, and it's split up on about, 3 or 4 different little properties, right? So they've got 5 acres, but they do thousands of
Putting your thing up, James.
We got jokes tonight. He always has jokes when he doesn't come on the stream. He's got too much work to do, though. I know that's right.
Yeah, that sounds like, did he get all these boxes made up,
I think he got all of his boxes done. Now he's working on pallets, and then after he's done with the pallets, he's got 2,000 frames to put together.
I think it'd be better to, I don't know. Depends on, depends on what they're trying to save money and stuff.
Let me see. I'm trying to do 2 things at once here.
What's this here now? Robin Hood. It says, just asked about blue hue purple of car.
Yeah, it's from kudzu. Kudzu honey.
Kudzu.
Yeah,
that stuff. Now you talk about invasive vine. That stuff is invasive big time.
Ate the South.
Yeah, it'll cover. I mean, if you got an old barn out there, it'll cover the whole damn barn up and everything. You can't even see.
Where did that stuff? Did they plant that stuff, or how did it get there?
Pretty certain they introduced it, at least here, because it was going to keep erosion from happening.
No, it kept erosion all right. That's about as bad as up here back in, I think, the 1930s. They brought in multiflora rose, the living fence, which that was over in England, and in my area, there was a lot of wealthy English people who moved in, and they had farms around here, and they were fox hunters and stuff like that. They actually had their own club and all. They still do. The club is still in existence, but I think that they planted all that stuff, and all that stuff is gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's an invasive plant.
You know, I grew up on the west side of the Mississippi River and cut to at least back in the 80s, and I think to this day stops at the Mississippi River.
Is that right?
And you drive across the Vicksburg, and all those hills are just covered with it. And it'll go over 50 foot tall trees. And yeah, but I don't. As far as I know, it hadn't made its way across the river. I'm surprised somebody hadn't gotten mad at somebody on the west side and just bought some seeds over it. It hasn't happened.
I don't know. Now I was going to say it wasn't here, but yes, there is some places where I know there's some of it, and all that. But Brian says it's in Arkansas.
Yeah, that's still west of Mississippi. I mean, east of the Mississippi, though.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It's all over Mississippi. And I guess I know it's Alabama, Mississippi, all through there.
Trying to send myself some bee
Oh,
pictures.
it's actually good for bees. Did he say it was bad for bees?
No, they make purple honey. It makes purple honey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they don't like to use it though.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was somebody was showing that it's got a tiny little flower that's underneath the leaf. The bees will work it.
Yeah, you get that purple grape honey.
But it's like what we have, what they have down in South Louisiana. What's it called? Of course, it was brought in from Asia. It's not tallow, but it's privet. Privet is really invasive, and if you have, I'm actually seeing a little bit of it out here in the farm. I'm worried because, like, if you have a nice wooded area, the privet will make it where you can't even walk through the woods. They're growing so thick. The bees love it. Got a real fragrant flower. That's a lot of what they have in South Louisiana that they get a honey crop off of. Privet and tallow. And tallow is also invasive.
Yeah, they've got a very little bit of tallow around here, but they're trying to eradicate it. That and Bradford pear trees, they're trying to eradicate that as well. So
He says, I guess he's talking about privet.
Well, now,
Privet.
is a Bradford pear tree in your area, does it grow wild?
Down there, there's a lot of Bradford pear here, but people use it as ornamental, but the bees won't touch Bradford pear.
well, they were trying to get people to cut it down.
Basically around here, they use it as ornamental, shrubbery, where they'll line, let's say, a driveway with it or something like that.
Right.
Which
Now, Lee there, he says privet honey's light and sweet. You're going to have to save me a jar of that for next year hive life. And try that out.
I'm glad to see it's good for something because it's a damn nuisance.
You put them Bradford pears on a driveway, and now you can't park your car under them.
And they don't smell very good either.
Bradford pear is covered in blossoms, but the bees won't touch it.
Nope.
You've ever had them pears fall in a vehicle and sit and
Well, and plus when the Bradford pear gets to be about 15 years old, it just splits right down the middle and lays over.
That's right. That thing will break its flimsy tree.
It is well here.
I heard something about olive trees and the bees.
Is that it was a certain kind of olive though that they were talking about. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, but isn't it an olive bush or something? Japanese or Chinese olive tree or olive bush or something like that. I know in Pennsylvania.
Autumn olive.
Autumn olive.
Man, my computer. Computer's
I don't know.
acting wonky.
I know they talked to Pennsylvania. There's an autumn olive or something like that, and they say they get a lot of honey off of it. I think.
I wonder if those what do they call those Japanese cherry blossoms or whatever, those trees that they have that are just
Around DC.
Yeah, I wonder how they would do down here. I mean, we got such a sandy soil where I'm at. I don't know if anything would do good right here where I'm at.
Well, you got the mimosas.
Yeah, mimosa trees, they're way up in the sky.
Invasive.
Invasive too. I've got bamboo. Somebody plant whatever you do, never.
Yeah, I know bamboo. That stuff is.
We-
It's terrible.
We had, when I was growing up, we had cane, which is like a tiny bamboo.
Yeah, I've got some of that back here. It's not my property, but it's on the other property. But that stuff just grows and grows and grows, and you can chop it down, and it'll just keep growing. You can't get rid of it.
What's weird is, I think, Bob, that it dies off like every 20 years. It just has to die off.
Oh, really? I only have 16 more to go then.
We used to love to play in it when we were kids. We called it the bamboo forest. You could make some really neat. You could weave it and make little structures and all that stuff.
I could always cut them down and make cane poles.
Yeah, you could make fishing poles out of it. Yeah.
But I mean that stuff doesn't blossom or anything, right? Bamboo, it doesn't have flowers or anything. Bees can't use it for nothing.
No, I don't think so. If you have panda bears,
I need to get me one of them now that I don't have a pig anymore.
what do you mean you don't have a pig? What happened?
Bacon.
I missed it.
Yeah, bacon. Spooked George so much he RUNNOFT.
He did. He did. He run off. And I could swear he was crying. And I say that it's going to sound stupid, but okay, so I captured him back. I had him in one of those big, huge dog carriers, and then dispatched her and drug her up on the trailer. We brought him home, put him back in the pen that I had repaired, and by the time we came back from the processor, he had already broke out of the cage again and was standing there looking, and he was laying down like, made himself a little spot to lay in, a waller, and he had snot coming out of his nose, and I could swear it looked like he was crying because he was lonely or whatever. I fed him some potatoes and stuff. Do what?
They're social animals.
And well, he must be
the only social aspect of its life.
Yeah, finish your story there. That's interesting. As you say that.
He froze.
It was funny because they were there when she was stuck in the cage or in the pen and he got out. He hung around the yard like a dog. If I called him, he'd come running. And then when she got out with him, gone. I mean, mile down the road in somebody's back. And the neighbor, which way? That way had a pig that one morning I came out for work and it was sitting in my backyard. And I sat there all day and petted her and everything. And right around 3 or 4 in the afternoon, she just walked back home. I mean, just like she knew exactly where she was going, went back home. And so I was thinking, well, that's what's going to happen with mine. He's going to get out there. He's going to come back because this is where the food is. I haven't seen him in 2 days now.
Oh, so he just left.
He's like, I'm out. Drop.
Yeah. Well, he probably knows what the future holds for him.
Hunting for more social pigs to interact with.
He'll either look for a social pig or those coyotes will get him that are out there. So.
Well, did the guy pick him up like he said he was going to do?
No, he never. Matter of fact, that first night, he said, we'll be in touch. And I didn't hear anything else. But the problem was the hog, the little pig was no problem. The hardest part was catching him. The big pig that was 300 to 350 pounds, it ain't going anywhere it don't want to go. You know what I mean? So and getting her in the trailer, and the people had locked her in this fenced in area, so it's not like they could walk back even. It's just they were stuck. They were captives then. So the pigs were down there. I was trying to find a way to get them back home. And when my buddy said, we can use my trailer, and I thought he had a covered trailer, right? No, it was like a flat trailer. I'm like, well, bring your side.
Yep, bring your dog crate.
I think he was talking about just shooting her and dragging her up on the trailer. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, but he had George in a dog crate.
Yeah, George was in the big dog crate.
Yeah.
And we kind of followed behind her to get her closer to the gate, and then dispatched her and put her on. And it took we're grown ass men to drag her up. It was like 1, 2, 3, pull.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, pull. It took several totes to get her up on there.
So, is George a standard pig? I thought he was like a potbelly or something. I couldn't really.
George is an Angelina. It's like the smallest pig breed.
Okay.
And Porky was supposedly a mini pig when I got her.
Those are a scam.
Yeah, I got scammed on that one. So
Mini pigs aren't real.
she was kind of cooney. She was cooney Angelina mix, but she was bigger than both the cooney or Angelina to me.
It's all relative, because you could go, oh, there's some 600-pound hogs out there. That's small in comparison.
Yeah. That's all right though. You're able to get her on the trailer.
Compared to the wild hogs that the other, like the hunters had brought in, she was huge compared to them.
Oh yeah. Well,
Of course, you don't have to compete.
people and people are bringing a wild hog in to be processed. They don't. If I shoot something that's 200 pounds, it's going to just lay there and let the buzzards eat it. It's not worth processing.
Right.
You only want to bring a pig in about 100 or less pounds.
Well, this one, I know
I did
exactly
well.
what it ate. You know, it was corn fed.
No, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gave her a good life, and now she's going to give you.
Spaghetti fed too. Yeah, that's it. She got the scraps, and she got her corn. And
Well, now did you take her to the butcher, or once
Yeah.
you shoot her?
I shot her, drug her up on the trailer, and took her to the processor.
If you start feeling bad about it, just go to the grocery store and walk through the meat aisle, and you'll feel better. See the prices.
You're freezing up.
I'm probably gonna have to pay $200 to $250 to pick up the meat, but if it's 200 pounds for $250, that's
Yeah,
a good price.
you're winning.
So, and I probably won't have to buy any pork chop for a minute. So,
Well, when I kill one that's 100 pounds, I generally only get about 50 pounds of meat off of it. That's not very good.
well, and we didn't put her on a scale. He just drug her, right? And when I asked him, I said, well, how much do you think he weighs? He said, she probably weighs 400 pounds. And then he put the hook on her to pull her. He's like, nah, probably like 300. So,
But they'll get more out of her than I when I get one of these wild pigs. There's a lot of waste,
right.
I don't know. Did he keep the skin and all that, or did he? Because I pull the hide off these wild pigs. There's not enough fat there to try to preserve anyway.
I don't know. They're doing everything. So the
Of course, if they're used to doing wild pigs, they might just pull the hide off of it.
I know it cost me more because he had two price lists. One is for domesticated, and one was for wild.
You know what? You might get all that, and that's what you want. Is that you want them to dip them in hot water and then break the hair off of them, because there's a lot there that's good. There's a lot of the skin.
Well, so I know it's more expensive to do a domesticated one than it is to do a wild one.
Yeah, the
Because
wild, they skin them like a deer.
yeah, and they said most of the wild ones, because they haven't been, I guess, treated or anything, that are out there, you know, when they come in, they have to really clean all of the equipment.
Oh, yeah. It's clean. Yeah.
Yeah, he's froze up again.
I don't know, man. I might have to get off of here because it's driving me crazy. I know it's
Yeah.
driving everybody else crazy.
James
no,
wants to know, how do you keep a pig in a hive?
Well, you put one of them pig pads in there.
It's a big. You use pig lure.
You put one of them, what is it, pig pad? You put one of those in the hive. That's how you keep one.
Hey, James, it's going to be just like bees. You guys are going to get jealous. You can't have bees up there naturally either. You'll be raising pigs soon just to keep up.
Well, just think of the heck of a. Hey, that could be the bee. People come get nukes. We'll have barbecue.
Bees and barbecue.
Bees and barbecue. So
Honey chops.
I did post it on Facebook, so we'll see if anybody messages me. Well,
Well, Spanky, you're going to get bee. I mean, I know you don't have any hives right now.
Not right now, no.
Was it?
You're going to get yourself a package or a nuke or something coming in springtime?
No, I'm wanting to try to catch some.
Well, I know somebody that sells swarm lure.
Yeah, I've got some of that.
Yeah. You can be
that's
a good
the problem.
tester.
I gave away so much swarm lure that nobody wants to buy it now.
I promoted it on my last video, and I don't even have any. I still promoted it.
You know, the Mr. Ed effect did help a little bit today. I'll say that.
Yeah, that video wouldn't have done anything for you anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It wasn't much. I mean, eight or so bottles.
How did your I was watching a little bit of your video about your what do you call it?
Like
honey robber.
Well, you know, I did it before I went live, right? So I sprayed it and I put the fume board on there, and the bees were all on top of the frame. I put the fume board on there, and they went down. But I didn't crack it, right? I didn't let the air flow. I just set it right on top.
Yeah, I told you to crack it.
That's the way you're supposed to do.
And
That's what I do.
We crack them out here whenever it's hot because the bees will vent. They'll start kicking into gear.
What do you mean? Where they'll come out the front or something?
well, when it's hot,
they want airflow in the hive to get rid of that smell if it's cracked, and so they know, hey, there's an opening if we blow it up. But the problem is they've got a small entrance, so they get on the front to try to get more air in. You know, they get down closer to that entrance unless they've
No, what I do is I spray it up. I got 3 of them. I put them on all the highs, wait a few minutes, and then work on the first one. And tip that hive up at super. And there might be a dozen bees on that super, and just blow them off with the blower. By the time I get to the third one, it's pretty much clean. You know, their bees are down in there. No problem.
Well, you know, but the bees went down a little bit, right? I didn't leave it on there very long. Then I went to film.
And then you froze again.
I went to do it again after I started, filming live, and I put it on there, and it's like I checked it. Didn't look like much was happening. But then again, it's kind of cool. Not really wind blowing. And yeah, DC, you're right, man. I appreciate every sale. So everything it's going in the right direction. It just, when someone's got 131,000 subs, you just don't know what to expect, But it was it's pretty good though. I mean, I'm not complaining. It was a good day. It's just that it's not like it's just skyrocketing. What's that stuff, Charlie? What you got tonight?
What? I mean this? It's
Yeah.
just pretzels.
See that magician? He pulled it out of thin air. He was holding nothing, and then he's holding something.
He just turned his hand and it was right there.
Hey, Bob, I'm going to guess that of those 100,000 subs that Mr. Ed has, there's probably like 1,500 of them actually have bees.
Yeah, that's probably right. You're probably right. I mean, they see something interesting, right? And then they
For anybody to watch his videos.
I click on it. Yeah, I mean, hell, I was just surprised he even, not that he used it, because he said he would use it. I believe that. I was surprised he used it and then did a video on it. Because
he did a nice job promoting this stuff. That was good.
And oh, dude, you don't know how I've got probably 1,000 bottles of, well, between 500 and 1,000 bottles already bottled up. I mean, I've just stockpiled it because I've got Texas Bee Supply put in an order, 125 bottles, boom, gone. Well, it's not shipped yet, but when they pay the invoice, it'll get shipped. And then Peerco put in an order. That's another.
Yeah, Suracell claimed they were going to pick it up.
And then I talked to Dancing Bee yesterday, and they said within the next 2 weeks they'll be placing their order. So it is, yeah, it's going in the right direction, guys. I'm not, it's good. It's just when you start something, it's all for me because I'm small. I have to be ahead of the game all the time. I've got to have enough bottled, enough supplies, and everything. So if I get a big order, I can knock it out and just replenish my inventory. So that's the goal.
Yeah, it's that's why I sold some I usually keep like 4 3-pound bottles of honey around. I don't really sell a whole lot of it, but I guess it was yesterday, day before, I sold 2. I got down to where I only had 1 left. And it's like you say, you wait till the next day. Oh, I'll get that tomorrow. Sure enough, somebody will come in and want some, a 3-pound bottle. So I went ahead like that night and got it done. And with that bottling tank of mine, it worked out fine.
My website was started up the 19th of September for pre-orders of Apis Biologics, right? And then there really wasn't anything else on the site till maybe November. I think it was November when I started doing the lure. So yeah, I think it's going good too. It's just I'm not quitting my day job anytime soon. It doesn't look like.
Well, all that kind of stuff, it takes time.
Oh yeah.
It's just like I want to become monetized. Well, it's going to take a year or more to get.
And then it'll take you a year or more to get that first payout after you get monetized.
Yeah, I'm not banking on any of that stuff. It's a goal thing for me. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, more for me.
He's having a heck of a time getting frozen. Hey, Phil, you back?
Yeah, I'm about out of battery, 5%. I haven't plugged it up. We'll see if it slows it down.
Yeah, they pay you once a month if you have over $100 in your account to get paid out. Otherwise, they won't pay you till after you get $100 in the account. So yes, they do pay every month, but
I just don't want to.
But it will be, like right now, even with the amount of views I get, sometimes I get a payout, sometimes I don't get a payout. It just depends. Mainly the things that help me is the memberships and the super chats when I get them, or super stickers. And other than that, it could be months before you get a payout just off your videos. Yeah, I think it will too, Silver. It's going to pick up.
Especially after you start getting reviews. And if you can get people to put pictures up with the reviews, that's a big thing. Pictures or videos.
Yeah, Stafford, I do keep it warm all the time. I run it between 92 and 98 degrees. But
Well, I think the best testimonial is this one that I got here. Let me show it to you. So far.
I think Mr. Ed was a pretty good one.
Yeah, but you should see what he sent me.
Yeah, but he had probably be really there.
And it, I'll tell you right now, it's hard to see. It's kind of a grainy cell phone. How can you even hear it? Where the hell?
I put these traps out yesterday, and we caught 2 swarms in one day.
Yeah.
No,
that's where he's got 4 swarm boxes there, don't you?
That is unbelievable.
Did you miss Tuesday night when he come on and told everybody?
Take a snapshot.
I missed that. I watched the video today where he was promoting the product. I didn't know he caught ones already with it.
Yeah, he was on Tuesday night talking about that.
Yeah, he caught him. That's why he was doing that video, but they had gone back out the next day to check him, and he had caught 2 swarms in it already. And he said he didn't get footage of the swarm capture, so he said next week, I guess he's going to show that footage.
Okay. Well, Tuesday night I had a scout meeting, and I caught the end of he wasn't even on there when I started watching.
He left an hour and a half in.
But then the next day or the day after, I started watching from the beginning, and I watched a whole lot of him on there. Matter of fact, they started bringing other guests in when I started watching it. I watched like at least an hour of it with him on there. I didn't hear him say he caught him with it at that point. He was in the middle of all that.
Well, it ought to be good for you, Bob, as far as publicity goes.
I mean, definitely, it's the best free lure I've could give away, right? I mean, I couldn't pay for that,
Yeah.
What? I had a spoiler alert. What do you mean?
So guys, I'm eating ice cream with honey on it. So vanilla ice cream.
Nice.
That's my new thing.
They in his like Mexican restaurants here, they'll do that fried ice cream, and then they'll put honey over the top of it. And with the bullet, people are saying that I need to market this more. And the reason I don't have this on Amazon is because it's a pain in the butt to do. It's more time consuming, right? So
that's one of those machines where it's got the pipettes for like 100 of those little droppers, and it just goes down and fills them all up at once. Automate that.
Filling them up is not the problem. The problem is the crystal, because they're the size of a grain of sand. So you've got to put one crystal in each vial.
What's that do?
You've missed my infomercial on the bullets?
Every time I see something, it's like an hour to 30 minutes after you just did it live, I get a notification.
All right, so this will be the quick version here. Man, I might have even dropped it out. Did I drop it out? No, it's in there. Wow, that's a real clear one. Oh, there it is. There is a little bit of crystal there. So that's a polyacrylic gel crystal.
Uh-huh.
And it hydrates and drops. I drop it, of course. But anyway, I'll use my other. internet. So the swarm lure is in the bottom. The crystal, when you put it in there, swells up. It absorbs the lure, and then it lets a slow release of the lure out of the top as it's evaporating. And once the liquid in the bottom, because it's wicking back up, once it evaporates out, that crystal will shrink and fall back down into the bottom. So you can come back out with my lure and an eyedropper or something and fill this vial back up. It'll rehydrate and you can use it again. But the way this is right now, as compared to like the Man Lake one, for suppliers, they have to put these in the freezer or refrigerator, right? This is the Man Lake one. And this, they don't. They can have this in dry storage. So they really like this. The problem is that producing them is the problem.
Well, doesn't it evaporate here in dry storage? I guess if it does, you just rehydrate it with your dropper, right?
I don't know. He's froze again.
I don't know
There
what's
you
going
go.
on, man. With this.
So does the bullet have the lure in it, or do you just have the crystal?
It comes preloaded with the lure in it, and then once that crystal,
Closes the lid.
yep, and then once the here, of course. So each one of those is one crystal.
Wow, tiny.
So that's the time consuming part, right?
You got to put them in a small little straw or hose.
Yep. And then if you don't get it, well, I don't even think I put any in these. Or did I? Yeah, I did. Maybe. No, doesn't look like I got it. I didn't even fill these up. These have just been filled with lure and no gel crystal in it. So that's the thing. So each one of these, I got to go back and put a crystal in. And then once I put a crystal in it, then it'll go in an envelope and be ready to go. And that, maybe some of them do and some of them don't. That's bad juju right there. No, that one don't have it in it. But at any rate, that's the time consuming process, is putting the crystal in there. So got to open them up, get one crystal and drop it in there and hope it stays in there and don't stick on your finger, and then it'll swell up. I just did that one, so I got it standing up there so I can let it go ahead and hydrate. In a few minutes I'll show you what it looks like. Usually the longer you leave it in there, the better. But anyway, so that's the thing. I mean, hey, Albus Dumbledore. It's kind of gay, though. Well, with a name like Dumbledore, you would know.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, it's what he said. Nice stream, guys, but it's kind of gay, though. So
I don't get that, but anyway.
yeah, just trolling. See, that's when you need all those wrenches in your chat to squash them all.
It just means it's kind of corny. So there's been a lot worse trolling going on live.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go too late tonight. I got to get up early tomorrow and go to this conference. Hopefully we'll have. Hopefully I can get some
I think he's talking to you, Bob.
speakers out of it for our chat here.
So hey, Michael, you asked who is located. Me? You know where I'm at. I'm in Hopkins, South Carolina, right down the road from you. Right down the road. Yeah, I've got some tweezers. I really need to buy one of those round lights that have the magnifying glass in it, because it would work good for grafting, and it would also work good for using it for that, right? So, good night, Brian. But these are kind of hard until you put them in the thing. It's kind of like iodized salt almost. Or what's the kosher salt or whatever, the big salt? It's kind of like that. Beauty supply store. I thought I'd seen somebody doing something like that with hey, maybe I could use a Chinese grafting tool. Hone my skill, right? Get the plunger, push it into the vial. Charlie sucked me dry in a Target car lot 3 weeks ago. Here we go. Filthy old man.
We brought attention to it. It'll keep coming back.
That's more like it. If you're going to do trolls, you might as well make it count.
Block user.
Hey, that's how you know you've been successful, Charlie.
So you made it. You arrived.
Trolls start coming out, and the all those guys start coming out. You've done it. You've done it.
Oh well, I'm trying to make some more.
Man, that's like a record. Getting a troll. See, that should be like one of those TubeBuddy awards you get that comes up. It should be trolled before monetization. That should be like a celebratory thing. That you hit a milestone.
So
they have syringes to plant seeds. Oh, maybe that would work. We've talked on the phone, Michael. We talked on the phone about the syrup the other day.
He may be trying to help you. There may be a softball. He's trying to help you get promoted, I think.
Oh.
He's your marketing lead.
Yeah, I'm just down the road from you. Not too far. He's over in Darlington. Actually, you're in Darlington and Larimore is in Florence. So you guys are kind of close together. Over that way. Some beaks.
Yeah.
What you calling it a night already, Charlie?
I'm thinking I am. I'm gonna get here pretty soon. I'll call it tonight. It like I say, I got to get up early, go to this conference.
You gonna make me do a late night live stream over on my channel now?
If your internet will handle it. I've got support, even though I'm plugged in the wall. So
there's another one. There's another troll.
Is that what it is?
Silver Gorilla, get him. Get him.
That's not even the right state. He's not in Kentucky.
I got everybody.
We got promoted. Yep, that's the assassination, the hit squad. That's what I used to call them on my thing. Is that when some troll would come in, we would actually take it a bit further on the crypto streams. If people came in talking junk, or if we just didn't like you at that point, if you were being a butt, then it was like, hey, get that guy out of here, man. What's he doing? Get him out of here. And boom. The hit squad hit him. And my buddy that was on the stream with me, he would actually make the finger like he's shooting him, and boom, he was banned from the stream. So, oh yeah, no problem, Michael. But anyway, guys, I guess that's gonna be it for the evening then.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so. Like I say, we'll be back next Friday, Friday for sure.
Tuesday night over at Lee's channel.
Yeah, we got Tuesday night at gonna be at Kodiak's this Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Starting to do its thing in there a little bit. I don't know if you can see it in there or not because the light's not behind it, but it's starting to swell up. Fun.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and shut down, guys. Good to see you all.
Good to see you.
We get talk some bees.
Sorry
tonight.
about my internet. Now my internet's clearing up, right? As we're finishing, it's clearing up now.
Well, yeah, so you
Seems
can
to
go
be.
on stream.
Do what?
So you can go on stream.
Now I can go on stream. Hey, yeah. Hey, but that whole queen breeding thing, I was just poking the bear to stimulate some conversation. So don't
cool.
Don't not let me in the stream anymore.
Hey, Bobby said Michael says to call you. Call him.
Yeah, I saw. I just was coming on the stream when he was trying to call me, so I didn't answer.
Okay.
All right, I'll give you a call.
All right.
I'll call you right now if you want me to. Don't matter.
All right. We'll catch you all guys later.
Night. Thanks, Charlie.
Good
Yep.
night, guys.